And we are live.
What do you say, Joe? You ready to go?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's do it. Welcome to Live from Stage 1, the first Live from Stage 1 performance featuring me, Jewell. So I've taken the last month or so trying to get the historic Stage 1 theater at North Seattle College converted into a live streaming studio with multiple camera setups. And while we've done a number of test broadcasts from here, and we've had some faculty come in and record some lectures, this is actually our first artistic production from the space. And I'm just going to be sharing a few of my older pieces tonight, and it's really to help people get a sense of what this space can do. The very first piece I'm going to share with you was actually first presented at a local cabaret called Family Affair that was started by a great friend of mine and of Joe Zabadil, who is up in the booth running the show today, Jennifer Jasper. And Family Affair was a lot of different kinds of artistic acts, all kind of loosely built around the theme of family. And so I actually brought a piece that was inspired by a Papa John's commercial. So I want to start by showing you that commercial. Joe, if you could take us over to the computer.
Hey moms, what happened to that bold, gritty stud you married? Has your husband been de-bolded? Re-bold your man with Papa Murphy's new Buffalo Chicken Pizza. Scratch-made dough topped with tender chicken, creamy garlic sauce, and the bold taste of Frank's Red Hot Sauce. Home bake a large Buffalo Chicken Pizza, just $11.
Yes!
It's really bold. Not that bold. Fresh made, fresh baked. Papa Murphy's, love at 425 degrees.
So the first time I saw that ad, I was righteously pissed off. Just the narrow-minded thinking in there, that moment when the wife looks at the husband who's playing with his daughters and gets a look on her face that says, I can't believe I ever let him see me naked, I'm never sleeping with him again. So I decided I needed to write a poem that was a response to this advertisement. Dear purveyors of uncooked pizza pies, dear self-branded Papa, dear dumbasses in the marketing department, fuck you. Please, allow me to take a moment to elucidate the foundation of this particular fuck you, the reasons for my indignation. Papa Murphy's, we have to talk about bold. I do not think it means what you think it means. Let me tell you a little about bold men. Bold men cry, are brave and bold with their emotions. Because a bold man knows he can be hurt without lashing back, knows he can appear weak to help others be strong, allows his bold heart to be broken because he knows he can mend it. Bold men never put the opinions of other men above their opinions of themselves, boldly following their heart and soul to what is right, to serve those they love and who sometimes love them. They know sometimes bold is quiet. Bold men kiss their sons and roughhouse with their daughters. Bold men play dress-up with both. As princesses and astronauts and sports stars and doctors, they sing ridiculous songs boldly in public, out of tune. Your bold is shallow and presentational, a bold meant to attract the attention of others. Your bold is a bold of fonts and fashion choices, a boldness outside that covers weakness inside. Your bold is empty, an easy joke to sell pizzas to the cisgendered masses. Am I making too much of it? I am making too much of it. But let me tell you boldly that I take this personally. And I am not white boy mad. I am appropriating ethnic stereotypes mad. I am someone slapped my mama mad. Because your easy joke is my life. I have been that man who makes the bold choice to stay home, to endure, and boldly stare back at the stares of in-laws who saw me debolded because I wasn't the breadwinner. I've sat in the back of preschool story times, letting my daughter be bold, find her own legs, to wander into the uncertain waters of her first non-family peers. I've played dollies and Dora the Explorer while introducing my daughter to the Green Bay Packers and Syracuse Orange and 7-year bitch. 7 years too early at least, but a bold choice. I have boldly insisted that there isn't one story written in bold, the rest mere italics, but that all our stories must be bold and must be told. Forget making me less of a man. These choices allowed me to become a man. To claim grown-ass man, not as my birthright, but as an unspoken title I try to live up to every day. So fuck you. And let me boldly tell you that my love for my child does not geld me. I can and will be a kitten in the playroom and a lion in the bedroom because I'm a bold goddamn man and I take offense at your sexist bullshit. I am just one of the bold goddamn men who think you think you need to re-bold, whose love you think can de-bold, whose lives you make the butt of a flaccid joke retold. How dare you try to regress the role of father? Bold men can and will play and work and love and shout and cry and console and cajole and fight and fuck and be whoever they goddamn well want to be, define their own rules, mark their own paths through this world. Bold men will help raise a generation not hung up on your stale notions of traditional families and traditional roles because they know how often traditional is code for oppression and because bold men raise bold children. Bold men have heart and integrity and courage. Do you still want to tell them hot sauce on pizza will help them grow a pair? Thank you. As you don't get any applause after a live stream, which is oddly a lot like performing poetry in real life. So the next poem was actually part of a project that originated here at North Seattle College. Poets versus Playwrights is a program developed by Dan Tarker and Graham Isaac. And for one of these iterations of Poets versus Playwrights, I was asked to write a poem based on the prompt, Tim Eyman in Discovery Park on a Sunday. Tim Eyman in Discovery Park on a Sunday. And so my response to that prompt was with a capital E. Part 1, he's wearing a Superman costume and he is 5 years old, which means he is powerful. For reasons that have nothing to do with his dress, he is a hero. At an age when worship, even attention, need not follow. His stories carry sufficient weight without your attention. And who are you? I'm Tim, and he's gone. Feet pounding on earth he does not touch, for he soars. Cape furious and arms righteous, all power, until he glides into his place in line for the slide. He waits for his turn to slide into the anus of a salmon and out its mouth, unaware of the pure, raw joy such an image might bring opponents years later. The young father, current of the rotating proxy authorities, taking his turn at the top of the slide, will years later remember this moment and wish that he had caved in the little boy's skull and saved us all. For it is in that delay, waiting to slide into the anus, attuned to that far whistle that means a train is coming, while he is in line, waiting, and he is Superman. Don't people know? It is in that moment that the ideas begin. A cloud passes over his features that nobody notices, and then it's his turn, and he slides through the anus fast and is powerful again because he is soaring and nobody is in his way. Part 2, he is striking a Superman pose as he flirts with middle age, smiling the smile of the man who has just been asked, "Is that your hand on my ass?" And it is. A high school acquaintance took him for a walk today, hoping a few minutes of Commonwealth beauty might tilt him away from tearing down windmills. It did not. He sees not the water and the grass and the trees, but the poor, making sounds of happiness, smiling on his dime, reaping what he has sown, creating lines to wait in. Don't people know? And he strikes the pose, aware of how much like a poster he must seem. It's a pose made to be seen, drawing power from reaction. His hand, our collective ass. He'll be the folk hero of his own story. He will undo common sense, and nobody will get in his way. Part 3, he is reading a Superman comic, and he is an old man, little aware and less concerned, which means he's happy. His caregiver paid at the gate. They're the only ones to have done so today, and the park is all theirs. This is the good life, paid for by skimmed donations and frat boy watches long since lost in the back of sock drawers. He's rolled from the van into the sun, tilts his face up. The salmon is gone, replaced by a giant soda bottle. The fire pit is enclosed in a glass shack available for rental, and the swings all have coin slots. If he could stand, if he could run, if he could soar again, there would be no lines, no waiting, no one to get in his way. The only thing unchanged is the train. And when its whistle makes him sad, he's not sure why, and returns to the comic. Part 4. In a Schrödinger moment of quantum paradox, they appear together, and it's clear who stands tallest, who is the central capital E in their monogram. In 3, they are one story, their own archetypes. And in that tiny quantum sliver, imagine it takes place in a park, can see themselves in complete trinity. One, of course, refuses to look, even outside time, reliant on the image he creates of on his own heroic quest. But a boy sees with clear eyes and with murderous contempt, and an old man with shameful regret. Unable to contain either within, both lash out and empower the third, release tendrils of narrative justification through the years and power that story, make him who he eternally is. The selfishness of youth, the myopic introversion of age, and a man still striking a pose, forever striking a pose. Tim Eyman. And you might have caught along the way that I said the wrong park twice. Hopefully the train was a key. Carkeek Park. That was Carkeek Park. Tim Eyman on a Sunday in Carkeek Park. All right, just one more piece, and this time not a poem, but a story. This is a story that wasn't written for any particular purpose, just sitting on the back deck of a friend's cabin years ago as a way to explain the Great Seattle Fire, and it is called The Great Seattle Fire. History loves a scapegoat. This isn't from malice, though history is filled with cruelty, but more often the need to conceal some truth. History finds a scapegoat when history needs to erase. Thus, the cow of Mrs. O'Leary takes blame for the conflagration that ravaged Chicago and an unattended glue pot for the blaze that leveled Seattle. I'll leave defense of the bovine to the big-shouldered writers, but I'm here to tell you that glue pot is blameless. The real cause of the Great Fire sprang from the proximity and natures of Seattle and the mountain called Rainier. Seattle is a town built on the pursuit of riches. Its willingness through the years to pursue so many different types has ensured its survival to this day. But the pursuit is driven always by avarice. And avarice inspires men to foolish and pointless acts, such as were very nearly the city's downfall. Mount Rainier looms above Seattle, a long dormant volcano and a reminder of just what power Mother Nature has in her arsenal. And it's impossible for men to look upon power and not imagine riches. So it was with Rainier, and one foolish man with more money and ambition than sense. Lee Evan Green eyed Rainier as a dandy does the widow's purse. What must this massive mountain hide within its stony vaults? Rich veins of ore, volcanic jewels yet to be discovered, their value incalculable, minerals with dynamic, near mystical properties. Cities such as Seattle attract not only men of vision, but also simple men with dreams of better and a willingness to fall in behind any leader slinging promises to deliver. And also merchants willing to outfit any damn fool on his errands. Once he had committed to the idea, it took Green less than 2 days to draft 30 able bodies, if not razor-sharp minds, to his cause, and less than a week to gather supplies and horses. He rode out of Seattle on the morning of May 25th, 1889, on a mission to crack Rainier's shell and drink deep of her riches. Not one man from that party was ever heard from again. Actually, that's not entirely true. About a week after they left, explosions, assumed to be mining charges, were heard rolling up the Rainier Valley. 5 large concussions through the morning, and then nothing more. The mountain was silent for 3 days. Late in the afternoon of the 4th day, tremors rolled through the valley. Earthquakes were not uncommon in that region, but these were different. Residents described the way they all seemed to originate and flow from a common point, radiating outward from the mountain. That same night, the explanation became all too clear, as Seattle was set ablaze. Outlying farmers and hunters heard pounding wing beats overhead and the screams of frightened animals all around. Watchmen on ships docked in the bay saw the moon momentarily blackened by a sinister, sleek shadow. Then fire rained from above, and the city jumped like waiting tinder. Lee Evan Green and his men had awakened something in that mountain and had arrived in Seattle to express its extreme displeasure. The rabble of Seattle may have been motivated chiefly by greed and encumbered by natural sloth and dull wits, but none could say they weren't brave. They fought valiantly to save their city, but it was all in vain. Wooden structures built too closely together, and seemingly endless jets of flame from above, reigniting every blaze they quenched. Seattle soldiered on through the night with a smoldering ruin by daybreak. People gathered on the eastern edge of the ravaged business district, surveying the wreckage and talking in small groups about what to do next. An ancient Chinese man, a worker on a long since completed railroad, known to many in the city for his daily perambulations with his equally ancient wife, had shuffled into the middle of the knots of people and stood silent and still. So complete was the stillness that it slowly halted nearby conversations, radiating outward until the man commanded the rapt attention of every soul present. And he began to speak. "You do not understand," he began in quiet, slow, inflected, but perfect English. "This was not a singular tragedy. What you see before you is a job uncompleted." The assembled crowd murmured and stilled. Those men who went to seek fortune from the great mountain have awakened something terrible. Never in all my travels across this country have I heard stories of these creatures, but in my grandfather's tales, they were familiar. A dragon has woken and will return here every night until none of us is left. At this, the crowd erupted, cries of terror mingled with shouts of derision. None noticed as the Chinese man's wife materialized at his side, and the two waited still, silent, until once again the stillness spread, the throng quieted, and they commanded all attention. A dragon is awoken by the sound of anger and the smell of greed. It can be quieted, encouraged to slumber again, only by the presence of the absence of both. The man paused, then stopped. Expectant faces watched for some sign of what he would say next. Finally, a voice from the crowd asked, "What the hell does that mean?" The man, stoic and placid to this moment, smiled broadly. "I have been alive many years. It feels now as though I've been married for all of them. I love my wife very much." Here he reached without looking and took his wife's hand. "I would ask nothing of her, for that love is enough. For her, this is also true. We will go and stay with the dragon. Our companionship will calm his anger." More shouts erupted from the crowd. "But you're so old. What happens when you die? What can we do?" The man waited for them to settle and quiet again. "One can live a very long time in the presence of a sleeping dragon or great love, and we shall have both. As to what you can do, there are two things. Take us with great speed to that mountain, and then make our job easier. Do not put words to your anger lightly, and endeavor to cover the stench of your greed." He smiled sweetly and looked around expectantly until the assembled mass cleared density and secured swift horses and riders to spirit the couple to the mountain. The riders returned past midnight, saying they had watched the tiny couple scramble into a hole that had been blasted into the side of the mountain. On the return ride, they heard sounds of a rock slide, easily large enough to close that cavern, though they hadn't dared turn back to confirm. On neither that night nor any other since, as the sky rained fire. City elders conspired to blame the now infamous Blue Pot for the devastation of Seattle, fearing that what the truth might do to the city's industrious ambitions. A new city was built atop the old, much the way a new story was built atop the truth. And to this day, a dragon sleeps below Rainier, watched over by a selfless love, one that holds hands, and, I would like to think, hums. Thank you. So that's it for the show tonight. So, Joe, how'd it go? What do you think?
Pretty good. You'll see.
We have people watching us. That's great. Any comments from the chat? Oh, that's great. That must have been my daughter getting to see when I was cussing, I'm guessing. So all of you, thank you so much for checking this out. If you want to make use of this space, reach out to me. I want to make sure that the last days of stage one are spent using and creating and sharing art. So let me know if you want to do that. I think that's all, Joe. Good night.